Hey, it's Michael. Wanted to talk about again the scam that is so prevalent, it seems, in the Philippines. Um, I just wanted to let those that are looking on the sites, when you see the middle-aged, I would say middle-aged at 25 and separated. Uh, 18, you might see a single, but the ones that are saying separated, they might as well be married. Separated is just separated. It doesn't mean that they're going to get out of that anytime soon. There's a financial uh, mess going on there, and they don't have the resources in most cases to take care of that. As a matter of fact, they're looking for people like me to fund that. And I stayed in a 9-month relationship, hoping for that. Where I was fortunate enough to have resources in the Philippines as well as here in the United States that were looking out for me and checking on this particular person. Not investigators, but just looking into things. And I kind of found out the hard way. Uh, but all the while I was researching and doing my homework as is instructed. You should do that. Earlier I was talking about, you know, um, I tried to do an upload. It didn't take, but so I'm doing this all impromptu. This is not rehearsed, and I'm not a professional that is trying to make a living out of making YouTube pages. So all my talks are very impromptu, and I have attention deficit disorder, so I flitter a little bit. You might notice with my head twitching a little bit. It's a malady I was born with. But nonetheless, uh, I'm saying what I'm saying is because I got duped, into believing something that I guess I wanted to believe. There's talks of red pill and hypergamy, in women, and the men taking the red pill versus the blue pill. And even in the United States, men are just and women are just more in tune with relationships, and the ones that work and don't work, and the expense and the emotions and the children involved, etc., and how that affects you long term. And they're kind of getting tired of it. I think the whole world is, and we're just turning into a whole different planet when it comes to that. But there's a lot of advertisement that it's better there. Excuse me. Scratching my throat. Excuse me. But it's better there. It's better. But I think it's like shopping for beans. You know, or it's like when you say that, it's like saying the rice is better in the Philippines. Rice is rice. You know, and beans are beans. So how are they better? Are they more juicy? The little kernels are just more succulent. What's so much better about it? Rice is rice, beans are beans. Women are women, and there's either good ones or bad ones. I guess, and I just think that those that maybe even be a little bit more educated, and that's unfortunate too. Is see, I just got pulled in so hard. You think, oh, she's a college student, a mother, single, separated. She's going to school. Government's probably paying for it. And then they're sitting at home with their computers, probably provided by the government, and then they're scamming people like myself, trying to get them to fund an annulment that is impossible because not only is she gainfully employed, but her husband is a police officer, which really made it even more difficult for me to understand because, all the things that you hear, you're thinking, I'm going to get off the plane and right from get go, I'm going to be in trouble, you know, or scammed or walk to a bank, So it's just funny that that it's like here, there's good policemen all over the world and bad ones too, but when you start hearing that stuff and you shy away from it, and then you start thinking red pill, red pill, red pill, hypergamy, they're just it's just trying to get you. Then they say it's a developing country. So in a developing country, economically it would not behoove you to be allowing people to do that. That should be a criminal activity there. In this country, they have an Internal Revenue Service. If you see somebody that sells eggs and rice, but they're driving a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, and they have a mansion of a house, but they sell honey on the corner or rice, somebody's going to start asking questions. You know, they don't just say, "Oh, that's just good for them," and then they just, they don't bother. You know, it's wrong. It's wrong that if you see a woman getting raped, there was a time where a bunch of men would jump on that man doing that and beat him up. Just take care of that. Today you could see that somebody getting hurt and people just mind their own business and walk the other way. They don't want to get involved. And I understand that there's a lot of hunger and a lot of people don't have as much as the other guy, and everyone's just trying to get theirs. And but if you're in a developing country and that's how you're going to go about doing it, that is not development. That is short-lived. And I even heard there was a word that's even used in the Philippines. They live today for tomorrow may never come. So they're not worried about tomorrow. They're just worried about right now. But you're not only hurting yourself by doing that with God or with karma, you're hurting your country. And how do you do that? Because you become stereotyped. After a while, people they don't believe anybody that lives there. They think that they're all trying to do that because that's how they get by. That's how they make a living. That's how they do it. So the trust factor is what is a relationship is built on. But if it's destroyed right from not from the beginning, but if you start to realize that you can't trust this person or that person or any person for that matter, it becomes more of a danger and more of a deterrent. The rice in China is not better than the rice in Philippines or better than the rice in the United States. Rice is rice, and but if the women are better there, you have to prove that. And you prove that by actions. So when you see somebody doing that, it does hurt a people. And how do I know that? Because in the United States, there's been a lot of movement against Black Lives Matter because a lot of people have been stereotyped because there's been a lot of criminals, and some blacks may be doing more of that, maybe not, I don't know. But when you're judging people or stereotyping people based on their skin color, when they could be just good people and just because of who they look like, they're targeted. It's not a small majority, that are doing that, because when you go to a dating site, if somebody would say to me, and has through these YouTube things, it's a small majority that are doing that. That's not true. And how do I know that? Because if it's a small majority, how come 80% or 85% say separated? They're all doing that. 85%? Google it. I'll challenge you. Google it. Google how much scamming is going on in the Philippines to the Western or to the Australian or the Canadian people. How many Philippine people are scamming people in other countries? It's a very high percentage. It's not small. But I didn't do that first. I did that after the fact, not first. So I say all that to say that you can't say that it's better there or the women are better. A good woman there may be better, but how do you find one? And then if you get off the plane and you go there and then they're not honest about their marital situation, do you go on your first date and ask to see a Salomar? Is that what you do? Or do you go first and you get acquainted and get to know them, and then find out after you feel something for them that possibly maybe they could be married, or you find out by being arrested? That just doesn't make sense. Makes no sense whatsoever. A man, wants to be able to find something better and different, just as a woman would want to find somebody like that, somebody that they could build with. My brother found a woman in the Ukraine. He's totally in love. They can't. They've been together a couple years. They can't. They're still in the honeymoon stage. She is progressed into getting a. She's working at getting her driver's license, and just in 2 years' time, she's had several different jobs. Now she's working for a large company here in the United States, and they want to make her some kind of ambassador because she's fluent in her language and knows English quite well as well. So um, she may even be traveling internationally, because of that, and from meeting my brother. So it was a win-win for them, her coming here, and who wouldn't want that? And I'm sure that if he were on here, he could say how wonderful a Ukrainian wife he has. However, I know there's a lot of that kind of thing, scamming going on there as well. But you cannot say something's better somewhere else when in fact it's not. Or you know some people don't see it because they hear it and they want to believe it, and they do. And right now the swing, in economics, how the swing goes, or the curve, you're going to throw the curve off if you keep doing this. So I would say you should get with the legislators in the Philippines, and when women like this are found out doing that, that they should serve some time as well. And if you see women that sell eggs and kilos of rice in their sari stores, and they're building big houses and have fancy things, and it just doesn't make sense, you should investigate that and find out where did they get that money. We have an internal revenue service in our country. You don't sell honey and rice on the corner, and beans and vegetables, and you're driving a Lamborghini or a Ferrari or a Porsche, and have a mansion for a house. It doesn't make sense. So they look into that, and usually there's some illegal activity going on. That's why they do that. And when they find that out, those people have to pay the price. And instead, what happens is that you've got a lot of American men that are interested in these beautiful women, want to go there and meet them, and I think they have some worth, these men, and they want to explore their options and see if it is in fact better there. But if they find out otherwise, through women that are doing this, you kind of, again, you throw the curve off, for the good ones, and it's not a good thing. It's, as a matter of fact, it hurts, and you don't have to be right next door in the presence of these people. You just talk to them and get to know them a little bit, and then when things go south, it's not always the fault of the person that's on the receiving end, and I'm just trying to be vindictive and get back at somebody. I'm sure that it would be better for them. They would have hoped that I would have just let it go. But I just don't. I'm not the one that would stand around and let somebody else get hurt like me, and then just not say nothing about it. you know I made a fool of myself, but I don't want to make somebody else, that wouldn't do anything about it, just take a hurt like that, and just allow somebody to build off their back, or their emotions, or their heart, and not mention it. There's all kinds of things that have crossed my mind, that in a developing country, that's supposed to be a Christian country, and there's a book of, I think the book of Deuteronomy, it talks about a woman that And God himself says that he hates this, leaves the young husband to go to an older man and gets with him, and then after he dies, go back to the younger husband so that she and he can have better things, and they just that's to them that's a well-made plan, you know, but not in the end it isn't, and then I heard the other day there's a word for it where like a lot of Philippine people feel that they live today because tomorrow's tomorrow. Do whatever you want today. We're not worried about tomorrow because tomorrow's not here yet, but when you're trying to make plans, you want to do something like go to a country like that and live out your life, or to enjoy the culture and the people and the foods. you know the streets are going to remain empty. The tourists aren't going to come. Not if people like that keep doing those types of things. They just won't do it. It's just a lot of risk involved. And I think that, look at us all wearing masks, because of risk. You know, how do you avoid the other types of risks that are going on if people are scamming? You avoid it. That's how you avoid it. It's not going to be a 6 foot distancing. It's going to be just don't go there. A lot of scamming going on there. So to prevent that, or to slow it down, is when you see it, you report it. When you hear about it, find out who's doing it, jump on them. You want to start getting, the foreign people a little less intimidated by stuff like that. Let them see videos of those people being arrested for doing it and serving time, and their property taken away if they've built houses, based on somebody else's income. That's stealing. Nothing wrong with that. Now I know that that people feel like, but they're hungry, or they have nothing, or they're never going to have. So if that's how they're going to get it, then I would have to say you have to shy away from that, wouldn't you? For those that have the best of the best in wives, I applaud you, I commend you, and I'm glad that you do. And I hope that you as couples, when you have your dinner and you sit and hold hands, and when you pray to your God, that at night, that you pray for those that are doing that maybe some other way that things will get better for them, and that they won't do those things, to others, to have monetary gain. That's not the way. And, if it's different there, then that has to be paramount. You have to build on that. If you are a Christian country, it doesn't have to be necessarily Catholic, any religion. If you have this deep rooted belief in a higher source, then depend on excuse me, on him instead of the pockets of others, and go about it in a way that where you're stealing. Excuse me. Why not, right? The rice isn't better there. The rice is rice. And if the women are better, when you get one, hang on to it. And there's a lot of good men in the world too. When you get one, hang on to it. And praise each other, and build together, and help each other. Help your fellow man. And that's all I'm trying to do. This isn't a bashing of people. It may sound like it, but it's not. It's just what I'm against is the criminal activity of what they're doing. I'm not against the people. I'm against those that are doing this, because it's going to hurt those that aren't doing it. It's going to hurt you. You might be running a business, and it's not as booming, because there's no customers. No one's there to buy. It's going to hurt you, And then if your business is going to grow, because we have to talk about things like this to help those that are curious or whatever, and you're just trying to help others and prevent them from stepping in something that's right in front of them on a landmine or whatever. Just look at it like this. If I'm on the other end of the field and I'm with one arm and one leg and I'm hopping around saying, don't do this and don't do that, and you can see, now you can go there if you want, but the warning's there, And I think that practice like this is teaching men blue pill, red pill, hypergamy, you know. Yeah, it just seems like, and it's not that I'm a coward or that I'm, anti-female or I don't want, no, I'm not, none of those things. You just give up on it. It's like, why bother if it's going to all be like that, or if you have to weed through all of that, or if you have to go to a country and not know if they're married or single, or just because they're poor, they'd sell their virtue. I feel bad like you wouldn't believe about all that. But that's not the way. Whatever way they're doing it is, you got to figure out something else. So work together, work as a team, work as a world, helping one another. Work towards that. Let's build a better world, this is the new thing, Let's build together. Let's help one another, Let's find some happiness in this, what this world has become. All right, guys, I'm signing out. I've been moving all weekend. I moved some storage and my back's just screaming. So I'm gonna say that, and that's all I'm gonna say for now. And I'll give you my thoughts another time, maybe another subject. All right. I don't just do this, complain and talk about this stuff too, but I'll maybe show you some other things that I can do and we'll talk about. But for now, this is it. All right. Get out there and catch one of those scammers. Throw them in a hole somewhere, in the dirt on top of them.